Hello and welcome to the Starfall Collective Season 2, King of the Cloudy Sea, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure. I am Matthew Talamini, your Dungeon Master. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew, Talamini.com. With me are some of my old college buddies, Sir Robert Burbridge playing Weatherin, an elven paladin of Oberon. Say hi so people know who you are and tell them where they can find your stuff.
Hey, I'm Sir Robert Burbridge, and you can find stuff at thefarce.net.
David Farrell playing Karaok or Gravy, a lizard folk ranger. Say hi so people know who you are and tell them where they can find your stuff.
Hi, I'm David. I've retired from having stuff.
Dwight Canal playing Fennetir, an elven cleric of Pon. Say hi so people know who you are and tell them where they can find your stuff.
Hi, this week I'm sponsored by Garnier Fructis. Have you ever wanted to have a beautiful, lustrous beard like... Wait, this is a really dumb ad because you can't see my beard.
His beard is very lustrous. Take my word for it.
If only you had Garnier Fructis. It's made from the lamentations of your enemies.
Let's just hope that Garnier Fructis doesn't have assiduous lawyers who are scouring YouTube for false advertisements such that we owe them money.
We have no relationship with Garnier Fructis at all.
Yeah, I know y'all don't, but I do.
Joshua Suich is playing Malmer, an elven warlock of Chernobog. Say hi so people know who you are and tell them where they can find your stuff. Maybe I should update that description of your character, Josh.
He is still a warlock of Chernobog in part, but he is also partially a fighter who has devoted his mind, body, and soul and the efforts of his will to the purposes of Oberon. And my stuff is with me. I know because I just moved all of it. Wow.
Brilliant. So both the Fujin and the elven naval cloud ship, whose name is unpronounceable in English, which is the reason I haven't attempted to pronounce it, are docked at Air Mountain, in the section of Air Mountain reserved for people who have feet.
Someone's doing the Darth Vader thing into their microphone, and it is pretty intense. It might be problematic for someone listening.
Is it me?
No, it wasn't you. But
okay.
Anyway, it might be me, but that's normal.
Okay,
it's just me coughing. Sorry.
So, I don't hear it, so it's probably me.
Let us describe the scene.
Try to mute myself.
The scene looks like this. The city of the Aarakocra is a big mound of clouds in the cloudy sea, which is a big flat plain of clouds with trees inside of it. The trees float. That's the environment we're in for this adventure.
These have all been topological facts.
At the edge of town, there is a sort of flat town square for visiting people without wings. Most of the citizens of Air Mountain are Aarakocra, and so most of their city has a sort of tree-like three-dimensional quality that, the more monkey-like of the races and the less bird-like find a little difficult to navigate. But they've graciously built this section for you. Right now is a big hubbub going on in this square. The queen herself has descended from the palace to meet the army made up of various of the free races, the non-elven races. Wow, that made your camera real blurry, Dwight. Who have
like an attractive woman in Star Trek.
That helped a little. um, so here's the scene. The queen is surrounded by various bodyguards and court officials. Before her are the crew and the smallish army that has come to help various races: halflings, tabaxi, lizard folk, um, and their leaders are with them. Standing among those is the elven cleric Fennetir. What does Fennetir look like? What I'm hoping for, because we're moving hopefully into the end game here, the final act, the final countdown, as it goes, and so I'd like to get, because when we started the series, we did initial descriptions of the characters, but your characters have grown and changed over that time. You've gotten powerful magical items. You've learned new abilities. Your experiences have scarred, or in some respects, strengthened you. So I'd like to hear what these characters look like now.
Speaking of changes, Fennetir has a magical elven chain mail that he retrieved from a dead body or something somewhere.
Awful.
He also he's usually carrying around a shield and a mace that he never uses. His his shield is his focus, so he really likes that +2 AC and all that.
I like to think that his shield is covered in sticky notes to remind himself about where he's stashed various things, and his mace is covered in the juice of whatever thing he's most recently pulverized with it, because he's used it like a mortar and pestle.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He also has a book of exalted deeds, which looks like gloriousness.
It's very shiny.
Carries that around with him. It's very shiny. It probably terrifies demons and stuff, because if they accidentally read it, they immediately get 24d6 radiant damage, and if that damage takes them to 0, their body disappears in a blinding flash and is destroyed, leaving their possessions behind. I should probably just hold it up to some fiends' faces just for fun.
It might be one of the party's most powerful weapons, should you be able to get. I mean, the trick is getting some demon to read it.
Yeah.
Well, Fennetir was on the ship that just arrived, and so he's still sort of standing among the crew and the other elves that were there, and the tabaxi and whatnot. Also having arrived on that ship is our lizard folk ranger, Karaok, who will be standing among the other lizard folk rangers, I presume. I think it was the warden of the North, Ate, and 2 bodyguards with her, and you would have been in the square, and probably the other rangers in the party have spread out and are keeping track or doing whatever.
Yeah, they're sort of standing around. At first glance, they probably look almost like they're, maybe even just lounging or, casually. But if you look closer, they're very coiled and alert.
But what does Karaok look like?
Yeah,
Tell us particularly of any magical items or powerful skills.
He is. So once upon a time, he was small for a lizard warrior, but no longer, because he got turned into a werequetzalcoatl. So now I think he's probably about the same, probably about the same size as the other lizard warriors around. He's probably still a little leaner. Looks compared to other races, he's pretty built, but compared to other lizard warriors, he might look a little lean. But yeah, he's got dark green scales, bright blue frills. He is and he's wearing a loincloth, and he has hunting trophies, a pauldron made of T-Rex teeth, and a necklace of night saber teeth. And he has some packs and belts slung over across his chest and over his shoulders. And he is armed primarily with 2 short swords and a bundle of javelins across his back. And he also has a cloak of displacement, which he's kind of wearing maybe like halfway over one shoulder, or kind of in the front, and then like the tail of it is kind of tied off and tucked under a belt, and so it's held in place. And and then he does kind of stand out from the other lizards, though, because of the lycanthropic curse. And if you would notice looking at him that his neck is a bit thinner and a bit longer than the other lizards. And his snout is also a little bit longer than what would probably be normal for a lizard. And he has blue webbing underneath his arms, which none of the other lizards would have.
Also, having come out onto the square would be a lot of the sailors from the Fujin, who have been mostly staying by the inn, and with them, Malmer, in his disguise as Goryo. Now, I know you'll sort of be describing Goryo here, but I would like to hear about some of Malmer's magical items, especially. You're muted, Josh.
So Goryo walks out in his captain's garb, his signature. Didn't he have like a big black coat or something like that?
Probably.
Yeah. So his enormous, waxed and linseed oiled captain's coat with his captain's hat and his even more haggard and grizzled appearance, because Mal has kept a certain amount of acid damage to the skin as a kind of enduring kind of mark of evidence of the authenticity of his appearance as Goryo, and to help him cover any minor mistakes or blemishes in the appearance of Goryo. And Goryo has taken to walking around and kind of leaning upon a little bit when he affects tiredness, Mal's +3 fate glaive. So he's got that. He's also got his own wand of holding. And underneath all of the change of appearance, Mal is wearing his breastplate. So those are the big magic items that Mal's got.
Nice. And the action of this episode is going to begin. We're going to sort of come out of freeze frame here and into action with Weatherin, who has just arrived from having been pursuing a night hag, which only he was able to see directly. Tell us what Weatherin looks like as he comes out into the square.
Yeah, Watherin is an Alateran elf. It's a kind of elf who has ancestry from the Fae. And as with all such elves, he is affiliated with a season. His season is winter. So he's a little bit brooding. He's friendly and charismatic, but has a pretty solemn nature sometimes. He has flaxen hair that's shoulder length, but is a little silvery that he keeps pulled back, and has been somewhat tanned and weathered by being out at sea for a while, off and on through his life. He doesn't have anything flashy that he shows, out. He's not wearing fancy armor or weaponry. He has a sword. It's trusty, but not special in any way. It was just one that he got somewhere that he's learned how to use well. He has a shield that he always wears, and chainmail when he's just generally going around doing things, ready for any attack or anything that might happen. And sometimes, when necessary, he'll slip that off and get into some leather armor. That said, he has a couple of key important things to note about him. As a paladin to Oberon, he has skills that come with that, different ways of channeling divinity, which is why he doesn't really care much about the particular weapon at this time. He likes to be nondescript and humble, but he has the ability to imbue his weapons with radiant power that does damage as he strikes. Also, he has a special ability called Aura of Protection, so that while he's conscious, all friendly creatures nearby are within a 10-foot radius, or I guess, yeah, within a 10-foot radius, gets a +2 bonus to all savings throws. So I'm not sure what level that came, but there it is. Also, as an Eladrin, he can Misty Step once per day,
which has proven a very useful.
Mm-hmm.
And
he doesn't use it often. He doesn't like to show it off, but every once in a while. He also has a background in as a basically a cleric in a temple, and in his failing, arguably his dwindling, let's say, order, paladin order. But because of that, knows a number of different languages: Giant, Deep Speech, Undercommon, and obviously Common and Elvish. As for equipment, he has collected a fair number of things, some of which he keeps with him, some of which he keeps in, like his belongings. He has picked up on this journey sharkskin necklace of animal talking. Allows him to talk to an animal once a day. He hasn't used it yet, but there you go. He has an ancient prayer book that has been passed down through his order. That is it's like a locket, has a small book with some prayers, and is used as his focus for the magic that he casts. He also has sorry, 1 second here. I'll get to the fear and stuff in a second. He acquired at some point on this journey a horn of silent alarm. It allows him to target a creature within a pretty good distance, blow the horn, and only that creature hears it. So that worked well. And he's not exactly sure what to do with it, but he also has in his possession a pot of awakening, which will let him awaken some shrubbery. He has not used it yet. Aside from that, he has two very important tools that he's just recently acquired. He visited Yellow Eyes, the high priest of Oberon among the Aarakocra, the bird people. And he found out that Yellow Eyes was a form and persona granted by Oberon to someone that he has been looking for, a hero of Oberon from over 1,000 years ago that has been here serving as a high priest for an unnaturally long time. Recently, Watherin found out that he has been selected to be Firin's replacement as the high priest Yellow Eyes, and to that end was given a ring. The ring that he was the Ring of Yellow Eyes, which allows him to scry at will and have true sight when scrying, as well as to change form between Watherin, the Eladrin elf, and Yellow Eyes, the Aarakocran high priest. Excuse me. And then along with that, with I don't think any specific magical properties, he has Firin's Scrying Book, which is a collection of information, names, and some little innocuous pieces of various people that Fearon has known, like feathers from an Aarakocra or something like that, that are useful for scrying. Oh, and I guess if I'm going to enumerate fully, the ring also protects him from all death, from failing any death saves.
But you're in the middle of doing something.
Yeah. So when Watherin came out to see the arrival of the ships, he saw a hag or very similar to the one that had been killed by Yellow Eyes the former, walking through the square invisibly. So he started pursuing the hag, followed her for most of a day into the night, and when the hag went to sleep, he, as Yellow Eyes, flew quickly back to alert the queen to the threat. He does not know what she is on the island for, but it can't be good, and they are on the brink of war, so it's timely information. Watherin hopes.
Ball's in your court, Weatherin.
So, just to catch me up here, Watherin left when the hag went to sleep, seemed to be asleep, didn't move for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
What time of day is it that he arrives back?
Oh, this is definitely twilight.
Okay. Watherin is interested in getting quickly to either the queen, which seems, I guess, maybe unlikely, or an attendant close enough to give an urgent message to the queen, basically to say, to let her know that he has spied. Let's say it slightly different. He has followed some nefarious creature, another hag, who has been invisibly infiltrating the island and is about to fly back, and basically wants to describe where the hag is going to fly back and continue his espionage, his surveillance.
So you're certainly not able to access the queen at this point. This is a very formal setting. It's actually the primary meeting is just about breaking up, where the leaders of the Aarakocra military forces have been sort of welcoming and greeting and discussing and talking about initial arrangements with the leaders of the free races who have arrived. But that is sort of almost concluded. But General Wickawee is there, and he's probably the highest ranking Aarakocra who you could talk to about something like this.
Okay. And sorry, and let me remind me of one more thing. Has Watherin publicly appeared as Yellow Eyes in the time that they've been waiting? Fearon is still on. Sorry, Yellow Eyes is still on some kind of sabbatical, right?
Unless you say otherwise, we have not yet narrated Watherin appearing as Yellow Eyes. The current story is that Yellow Eyes is on sabbatical, and he's using Watherin as a kind of go-between or messenger during his sort of spiritual retreat.
So when Yellow Eyes returns, I just want to find a shadowy bit here in the twilight, because I flew back to become Watherin again and approach. I forgot what you said his name was. Twitterly.
Wickawee. The general.
Yeah, and go to Wickawee and say, and let him know, basically.
He's currently in conversation with the lizard folk, Ate and Karaok.
Okay. I think Watherin will go up, and as...
You have not seen Karaok in some time.
What's that?
You have not seen Karaok in some time.
Yeah, I think...
He looks a little weird.
In fact, you might know him still as Tashash.
Yeah.
Well,
I
no,
think
we met
Watherin
it.
will go
We
up
met at
and
Nebulister's Perch.
say something to the effect of,
after they.
Tashash, I haven't seen you in a long time.
No,
Give me just a moment.
You would have
General
known his.
Wookwee,
You
do
would
you have
know
a second?
his new name.
What's that?
Oh.
We met up at Nebulaster's perch.
Was that
Okay.
before
Yeah.
or after?
Well,
No, that was after.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. I say whichever name is appropriate.
Gravy.
That's right. Gravy.
There you go. Yeah. That one still works.
And Gravy, I haven't seen you in a long time. I hope you're well. Just a moment. General Wickowee, I have an urgent matter from Yellow Eyes.
General Wickowee says, yes, of course. What can he do for you?
Can I tell you something privately, just 2 steps away?
The general looks around. There isn't really any place that's very private, but you can walk a little ways away from the lizard folk.
Just want to do my best to, get a little bit and say, I have an urgent message from Yellow Eyes for the Queen. A night hag was seen invisibly infiltrating the island last night, or I guess earlier today, and I have Yellow Eyes has charged me to continue following her. She's right now, and then I show him my kind of rough map that I made. Remember, I spent a half hour or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She's right now resting in this region. I need to go quickly back there, but the Queen needs to know because this hag is clearly an enemy of Her Highness and maybe doing something nefarious with regard to the war, the looming battle.
You're trying to speak stealthily, so go ahead and roll me a stealth check.
Forgot to
Karak,
get my dice.
if you're interested in hearing what they have to say, you can listen in with a perception check.
Sure. Oh,
You said I'm
You don't
making
have
a
to.
stealth check?
You could also be polite and not try and listen in.
hold on. I need to get my. Hold on.
Lizard folk are never polite or impolite.
Let me ask you, Matt.
Mhm.
I have my chainmail on, which gives me disadvantage on stealth.
Not this
Is that
kind of
included?
stealth.
What's that?
Not this kind of stealth.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Great.
Yeah.
Let's see. 16.
The same.
Fennetir knows what you're saying.
16.
I guess Tashash also hears it. That's a tie, right?
That is a tie.
Yeah. Josh, I cannot hear you. I still can't hear you.
Maybe write on a whiteboard and hold it up to the.
The general says to you, these hags, they're able to communicate over long distances. I suspect that this is part of Karen's spy network. Tell me, and he turns and gestures at the Tabaxi wizard who's standing by Fennetir and says, "You were telling me of the presence of a hag on the ship on the way over. Weathern, is it the same hag?"
No, it's not the same hag. Yellow Eyes slew that one. Or Yellow Eyes slew a hag that was invisible. I don't know.
This is actually a different hag. This is the one that was on the other ship.
Okay. Well, hopefully, if I could see that by viewing, then I'll say, this hag was hanging off of the bottom of such and such a ship. I saw her when I came in. Or sorry, Yellow Eye saw her when I came to port, and he let me know.
Interesting. Most interesting. Tell me, Weatherin, this may be a lot to ask. It would be a great tactical advantage to know where that hag is going to. She may even be headed to the place that we seek, wherever it is that the dark elf army is using to enter the Cloudy Sea. That may very well be her destination, especially if she knows that she was seen. She's fleeing her spy mission. Be very dangerous. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I almost want to ask you to perhaps take one of these rangers, or take a small picked group and pursue her. I mean, it would be terribly dangerous. I don't know if we could send a whole ship.
I would be happy to. I can see her. Yellow Eyes can see her and has told me about. But apparently she is in some sort of ethereal state and is able to pass through seemingly solid matter. She's out of phase with the rest of us.
Finitier wanders over and says, I have a way to capture her in this realm. It
Great.
sort of worked on the ship. Little circle, and she can't get out of unless she rolls a very easy wisdom check. Charisma, something like that. I can't remember.
Oh, we lost Josh.
Ah!
I
There
can't
we
hear you,
go.
Josh.
We could hear you at one point.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really understand the limits of Yellow Eye's power. I do think that he can sometimes scry from great distances, and so I don't know.
Ah.
Do you think that Yellow Eyes would be able to scry or to know the location of this hag wherever she goes?
I can ask.
And at this point, Ate steps forward and she says, I have something which may be of some help. And she reaches into her pack and produces a large dinosaur tooth, which has been carved into the shape of a vial, with a little tight-fitting wooden stopper in the top, sort of bound around with a leather thong. And she holds it out to you, Watherin, and she says, when the priest trapped the hag in the magic circle, I stabbed it, and behold, here is some of its blood.
Infinity.
This may be
Amazing.
of use to you in doing magic upon it.
Indeed.
Karag steps forward then and says, we will need some sort of magical devices if we had to kill it. It can't be slain with normal weapons made from the bones of the earth.
Well, I don't care that much about killing it. I would love to know any information it has, or any information we can gain from it. I mean, killing it would be great, I'm sure.
Gorio walks over because he made a 24 perception check and produces a wand and says, if you need to be holding her for interrogation, I can lend with that. And he brandishes the wand of holding. Says, I've had experience with these on my vessel. I'm eager to do what I can to contribute to the cause.
Finatier edges into the crowd and tries to disappear.
You there, lad. I'll be
His
having words
stealth
with you
roll
before all's gone.
is
He makes eye contact with him.
a 9.
Yeah, he makes eye contact with him and says, You there, lad. I'll be having words with you before all is said and done.
Finatier pretends like he doesn't notice you.
Great. Let's go. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let me go meet Yellow Eyes, and I will see what he has to say, and I will meet the three of you on the way towards showing them the spot.
Okay.
Wait. So our mission is right. What we're looking to do is follow and maybe capture the hag, right?
What the Aarakocra want strategically most of all is to know the location of this this dark elf bivouac point, and Wickawee is not going to tell you what to do.
Okay.
Try to find the bivouac point.
Would in preparation for our hunt, would it be possible for me to get either upgrade my current weapons or get silvered weapons? Either through payments or through asking authorities to requisition proper supplies for this endeavor.
Yeah, if you guys are going to hang out and spend some time here, that's certainly the kind of thing that's possible.
Watherin needs to get going.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if I can get them quickly. Like, be like, hey, General Wickawee, do you have any silvered weapons? They'd really come in handy in this hunt.
So
Because mine won't do much.
When you're finding out about that, Watherin says to Wickawee, I've conveyed my message. I need to get back. Yellow Eyes has said it's urgent, but I'll continue to convey any more information.
And how will you do that?
Whatever Yellow Eyes says.
How will you convey the information to me?
I don't know.
Oh, all right. Bye. Have a good. Very well.
Fun storming the castle.
He turns to Barkus. Goryo turns to Barkus and says, You're in charge until I return.
Thank you, Captain. I not in charge of very much. They're still working on the ship.
I trust the affairs of the Fujin to you till I return.
I won't let you down, Captain.
I know you won't, lad. And he walks over and gives him like a kind of a fatherly, like pats him on the shoulder and gives him kind of a proud of you kind of a nod and head shake, which I'm sure is more affirmation than he's ever received from Goryo.
So you're able to find out just in this very short amount of time, Karaok, that you would be able to get basically any kind of normal weapon very quickly from the soldiers who are here right now. But any kind of magical or silvered weapons or specialty items like that would take longer if they could even be found.
Okay,
so
they don't have
some magic items here in Air Mountain, but it is not. Nobody here would be able to tell you without some process what was
I
available.
could cast spiritual weapon and then you could just grab it. Be like,
works for me.
Is that a thing you can do?
I think there's a
Is that a concentration spell?
There's a spell to bless a weapon.
Spells. No, spiritual weapon isn't concentration.
We're entering a part of the narrative where the NPCs aren't necessarily going to tell you what your next mission is.
Yeah.
Oh, it only lasts 1 minute though, so
If it's something
I think
I don't know. Maybe this would be a good time. Even if I can't get it now, in the general preparation period, I'd like to get silvered weapons if I can. So maybe we could put that
put a
in
pin in it.
motion. And I will
Take a
pick them
pin
up
out of it.
whenever they're available.
So
Watherin has a strong sense that he wants to get back before the. Well, I guess that's not necessarily true.
yeah, Weatherin, what you see is the priest Fennetir has turned his back and walked away from you. The lizard folk ranger Gravy is talking to some soldiers about what kinds of weapons are available, and Malmer is standing by your side, ready to follow you.
Okay.
Fennetir's trying to keep Gravy between him
And I guess
Malmer.
Sorry, he's trying to keep what?
Trying to keep Gravy between him and Gorio / Malmer.
Watherin says, Gorio, Captain Gorio, I guess. I have a friend who's versed in these kinds of things. Would you be willing for him to use this wand on your behalf as we go hunt? This is an opportunity for Malmer to drop the Gorio guys and go, be free of that if he wants to. Like I could disappear with Gorio for a minute and come back with somebody else.
All right. Seems that this might be the time to, well, no, lad. I'll be going with you myself. And he leans over and says, I don't want to let go of this. He kind of shakes the fate blade.
As you will. And that sounds good.
I do it now, but time is of the essence, and I don't want any complications getting in the way of the mission.
Sure. Well, hopefully, Captain Gorio, I whisper a little bit too, but hopefully, Captain Gorio, you've survived very much. It'd be a terrible thing if there were a battle and someone were to take all your equipment.
Gorio winks back at him.
Sure. And so Watherin basically says, I've got to get back to Yellow Eyes, and I want to take the little vial of blood, the little.
You've got it.
Or whatever. And I've got to get this to Yellow Eyes to let him scry on her position with it. But I can meet you wherever you like. And I show Gorio on the map. This is the direction she went.
Gorio looks at him and says, "You've seen the land with your own eyes. You tell me what's the best reconnaissance point."
So he basically, Watherin takes a minute, kind of memorizes the map as best he can. He's been doing it already. Gives it to Gorio and shows him a path that he can go towards where the hag was last seen.
All right.
And Watherin's gonna basically go away and try to scry on the hag, and then meet Gorio and whoever else goes there along that path, perhaps as Yellow Eyes and perhaps as Watherin.
Okay. Okay. I think, yeah. Okay. So Gorio takes the map and turns and hands it to the lizard folk and says, "You there? You're in charge of all navigational duties on this mission."
I can do that.
And Watherin immediately slips away and did I get it muted before I sneezed?
You did.
Yes.
Yep.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Watherin immediately slips away and as quickly as he can gets to a discreet spot and wants to take on the form of Yellow Eyes, get away from there for a little bit, and somewhere private where just a treetop is fine or whatever, where he can try to scry on the hag.
Okay. Yeah, so
Oh, and sorry, before he does that, Watherin says to Gorio Malmer, take whoever you will to follow this path. I'll meet you along it. I've got to go to get this information to Yellow Eyes, and leaves.
All right. Yeah, so I think he's just going to grab Karaok and Finnetir and start and tell all right, lizard folk, lead the way. You there.
the
Keep up.
What?
And no deserting on me a second time.
some soldiers have noticed some Aarakocra soldiers have noticed that you're these very powerful warriors are making their way somewhere, and they ask you if you want to borrow one of their boats.
To like a flying boat?
I mean, not like a flying boat, but like the same kind of boats that the Fujin had.
Like a hover boat. So basically it'll hover over the ground?
No.
Hover over the cloudy sea.
I thought we weren't going over the cloudy sea. I thought we were going over land.
The only land
just a
here
big
is this
chunk
one
of rock.
square that you're on.
Oh, yeah. Well, then of course, yes. Sorry.
It's a journey that would be over top of the canopy of the cloudy sea, which people who walk on legs usually wouldn't make. And so they're like, well, if you're going that way, do you want to borrow one of these? We've got a few to spare.
Indeed. For the mission, we'll bring her back in one piece. Do we
Don't
need
make
more
promises
people
you can't keep.
Do we need more people to operate the boat, or is it just a real small skiff that the three of us can work?
This is a 4-seater.
Okay.
The ones Fujin had were 6-seaters.
Okay, then we'll be fine for now, and Watherin will be 4 on the way back. So, okay. All right, let's go.
All right, so you hop in the boat and you start making your way over there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Watherin, what you see is the hag is still sleeping, and by this time the sun is down below the cloudy sea, so everything that was white has sort of lit up green. It's the beginning of the eerie nighttime glow.
Okay. I would like to more or less track. So fly far enough away that I'm not like really close to the hag, but like I'm not trying to see her visually because I don't need to because I'm scrying, but close enough to like get there very quickly if something were to go down. So maybe a half mile away or something like that. I don't know. Some opportune spot. And then basically I would like to perch somewhere watching and also occasionally scrying on Malmer or any of the three of them just to track their progress as well. The idea there being when they get close enough, I will something like join them.
Okay. Yeah.
So while they are traveling, after they are out of sight of land and other people, Gorio kind of turns to them and says, "Lads, I find myself in an awkward position with two individuals with whom I have a great deal of history and secrets between us and a lack of trust, a thing that won't do for a mission such as this. Fortunately, I have a simple solution, and that is to not be me anymore, but to rather simply be me." And he drops the appearance and turns into Mal and says, "That that is a tiresome voice. Gentlemen."
Karak's eyes get a little bigger for him briefly, and then he says, "You are not dead." And he gives a respectful nod.
Dead I am not, in spite of standing blade to blubber with Inma itself and trading blows with it. And I tell you, Finnetir, had you been by my side, I would have struck that beast down. I've never missed you so much in my life. Gravy, your javelins were missed sorely. Gentlemen, I know that we have not always been on the best of terms with one another, but we are at war, and we have a mission. So I extend to you the hand of fellowship and reconciliation. Can we allow all past grievances and frustrations with one another to be in our past?
Hey man, my grievances are with that other guy.
Well, he is in fact dead, hence my ability to impersonate him. So
Karak nods. I will fight with you.
And you should know, Chernobog's influence in this place is no more, nor is functionally his influence over me.
So you're not creepy anymore?
I wouldn't say that. I still, and he kind
A
of
little creepy.
flexes some of his eldritch powers, still have access to that which Chernobog has granted me, but I have gone through the rites of cleansing with the High Priest of Oberon and have pledged myself to his cause.
Oberon.
And he gets
Oberon,
back.
not Palor.
I get those two mixed up.
Yeah, and so he jumps back.
Karak snorts.
Yeah, he jumps. He's like Palor, and he spits over the side, and he says, "Have to let me just tell you a tale." And he basically tells them about finding the temple of Chernobog and about the vision that he had. And he tells them about trying to convince Chernobog to betray Karen and ally with Oberon so that Karen and Palor would be in their own independent factions and be weakened, and how Chernobog seemed like he was open to the idea, and so how he's kind of interpreting that as good enough. So he also tells them about fighting the Inma and about what that was like, and fills them in. But he also tells them about all of the levy, and he says basically, at this point, that levy is not, as far as I am concerned, the property of the Elven Empire. That levy was the property of a god, and it belongs to another god of equal standing. So before all is said and done, I'm afraid I may need you to help me make sure that that levy gets into the hands of Yellow Eyes and the Alliance of Oberon so that it can go towards fighting Karen most effectively.
Sounds amazing.
Karak shrugs.
I know Pon's not a fan of Karen.
And kind of groans. Says, "You and your gods. It must be a thing of the warm bloods. You lose one god, and you must find another. I do not understand your ways."
More like rediscovered. I was raised in the Temple of Oberon. My mother worked in the temples. And
Karak's look of skepticism has not changed.
maybe someday I'll tell you how a child of a priestess of Oberon becomes a warlock of Chernobog, but I'm afraid we don't have enough time for that.
Or perhaps not.
And he asks them about about their travels and everything. I'm sure that takes up a lot of the time and for while we're traveling.
Finnetir shows off his cool little levy stick. Does a little dance.
Yeah,
Nice.
you still have your levy gem with you?
Yeah, levy stick.
Carrying around all this time at the end of a stick,
Uh-huh.
That's fantastic.
like a hobo bindle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so Watherin, you see the small skiff that your three friends are driving, approaching the place where the hag sleeps.
Okay. And I'm perched up high right now as Yellow Eyes, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna fly down as Yellow Eyes
Okay.
and basically alight in front of them in a way that blocks the path, far enough away that we're not like in danger of waking her or anything.
Okay. The three of you see a large hawk-like, pretty beefy-looking Aarakocra flap down, and you notice on the wings are these two large yellow eye type feather patterns, almost like you would see on a moth or a butterfly, as the wings flap. And he settles on the canopy just ahead of you.
And says to them, "Halt there."
I stop pedaling.
Yeah, Mal bows deeply and says, Yellow Eyes, we have heard word of the foe from your servant and our friend, Watherin.
You are Malmer, and you are Fearin, and you are... Remind me your name again?
Fennetir
Finnetir.
and Karaok.
Sorry, Fennetir and... What?
Karaok.
Karak. I keep wanting to say gravy or...
You can say gravy.
Karak. So,
Although
Yellow
Yellow Eyes
Eyes
wouldn't know gravy.
indicates clearly that he already knows who they are and says, "You have made good time here. Watherin is serving my purposes elsewhere, but I have been watching the hag. She is ahead. It is not yet time. We must wait here for her to move on."
Okay.
As you instruct, the mission is yours.
And so he gets onto the boat, I guess, like just to be there with them, and folds his
Yellow
fold my
Eyes.
wings around me so I'm not being gigantic, and basically, let's see. I will tell you when it is time for us to go, but for now I must watch the hag. You keep watch around us. And he has a not fancy, but not ratty either, hood. Just pull down more like a cowl, which is what he's using to scry, and it basically is a little bit of privacy. And he basically just kind of grabs on and folds himself up and doesn't do anything to their perception, except what I'm doing is scrying on the hag.
Okay. Tell me about how far from the hag's position you would have stopped.
Okay. Let's see. Let me just check to see. Okay, there's no like distance or anything.
Just yeah, no,
I
you
would
just
say
you just pick.
probably. Sorry, say it again.
Just pick how far away from the hag would you have stopped them?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 minutes of their speed of travel.
Okay. In that case, so you're currently scrying on the hag.
Yeah, on the boat. I'm sitting on the boat with them.
Okay. The three of you who are not him, make me perception checks with disadvantage. Except for Fennetir.
Ha
I can't make Fennetir roll for it. I just can't. He's got a passive perception of 20. He's going to notice this. Fennetir, at the very edge of your vision, you're very perceptive. And at the very edge of your vision, something that you cannot quite see in the direction that you know that the hag is, something disturbs the night sky.
Like
maybe
a
you
light?
see just a flicker of darkness where that covers a star or two for just a second.
I saw something over there moving.
And Yellow Eyes looks up and pulls his cowl back and says, "Where?"
I point in the direction.
What was it?
Is just a disturbance on the horizon. A couple of stars disappeared, maybe.
So I'm looking to see how this.
Are you still scrying?
Works. Yeah. It has to have a target that's a creature, right?
Yeah, or a place.
Or a place.
A place, yeah. At this point, after you hear him say this, though the vision that you see when you're scrying changes, there's the stars are blocked out by a large shape that perches on some of the trees, which bend down like a trampoline under its weight. And can you hear through scrying? You can hear, right?
I think so, but let me just make sure. You can see and hear as if you were there.
Do you speak Undercommon?
I think yes, I do.
A snaky head, a large snaky head, comes down among the trees to the crook that the hag is resting in. And the black dragon says to her in Undercommon, "Awaken, hag." And she turns her eyes up to look at it.
And Yellow Eyes says to these guys, "Ready yourselves." And then goes back to watching.
You're 10 minutes rowing. You're 10 minutes of boat ride away from it. Right.
Okay, right.
Shall we approach? Sorry. Sorry. Force of habit. Shall we approach?
Move forward quietly.
Okay.
In other words, he's directing them to maybe not necessarily stealthily, but
sure,
discreetly.
Yeah.
To close that distance.
Gravy, you've still got that spell to conceal us?
Yes, I can do that. And I will cast.
Perhaps not just yet, but when we get a few minutes closer. It would be a waste so far out.
it lasts for an hour.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I thought it was a 10
So-
minute. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Boop.
Boop.
The hag uh,
What's up?
looks up and stands up and stretches its filthy body and cracks its spindly neck, and the dragon reaches out a large taloned claw, and she grabs onto it, and the dragon lifts her up onto the back of its neck, where it grabs onto some horns that are back there.
Interesting.
Gotta get left behind.
Well, the next question becomes, if all three of us hug this levy gem, how big of a field does it put out?
We would have no method of propulsion.
Unless we had an Aarakocra.
We also have a Quetzalcoatlus.
Oh, that's right. Well, I'm not sure Mal really knows that yet. Or you would have explained that in the boat?
No. When you knew about it when
Oh, that's right.
we met up at Nebulaster's Purge.
Okay, right. Okay.
The
Yeah,
dragon,
remember we flew away?
Mm-hmm.
Watherin, you see through your scrying the dragon straightens up and starts to flap its wings and lifts off, and the surface of the cloudy sea starts to resume its former shape.
And I just want to, I guess, keep watching them to see where they're going. But say to Gravy, or actually not to all of them, I guess. The hag was met by a dragon, and they have alighted. And then turns slowly and looks at Gravy and says, "You, double creature. I can fly after the dragon. Can you carry these others?"
Can I carry two, Matt?
I ruled on this before.
Wait.
I think you would be encumbered carrying two. You can definitely carry one.
Was it I can carry one on my back and one on in my
Talons.
claws?
Yeah, you could definitely do that, and you could fly, but you would fly in a cumbersome way.
Because
You
I
wouldn't fly
did.
as fast.
Can Yellow Eyes carry somebody?
No.
So, point of order, we do have a levy gem, right? So doesn't that remove the encumbrance factor of the person with the levy gem?
It would render anything in the field weightless, and weightless things could be towed.
Right. So Finitier, you just need to hold your levy gem close to your center of mass so that it has maximum effect.
So I'll hold the levy gem end of the stick, and Yellow Eyes can hold the stick end of the stick.
Yeah. Karak looks at when Yellow Eyes Yellow Eyes makes a request, and Karak looks at him, and then he looks at Malmer and gives him a really creepy grin, like dinosaur face grin, and snickers and says, "Yes, I can carry them. I will do this."
Great. So Yellow Eyes alights and just quickly jumps up, alights, and does some circling, hawk style, Aarakocra style, and lets them get ready. I'm basically getting out of the way of the boat in case whatever, and then says, "Ready yourselves quickly and follow me."
But point of order, we should probably have the Quetzalcoatl tow the third person as well, just so that Yellow Eyes has maximum maneuverability and everything.
Okay.
Even though you'll be weightless, there will be a little bit of inertia to it, at least.
So you can
So-
grab the stick with your giant claw.
So tell me,
Yellow Eyes
they
is
have a
not a part
rope?
of this and is just circling.
I do.
We could tie him on with a rope. I still don't have a rope.
Now, wait
I
a
have
minute.
like half a rope.
Can't two people hug the levy gem? Right? Because
Let-
the
You're not getting to.
doesn't care
You're just trying to get your hands on my levy gem. Stay back.
I'm
the
just
levy
saying.
gem, this levy gem makes a 5-foot diameter sphere. So yes, two of you could get in real close and get most of your mass into it.
So you just
Yeah,
have
you get up on top of that Quetzalcoatlus, and I'll
have two
stay
people
down
in the
below.
claws, in the Quetzalcoatl's claws, hugging together, and one person riding on top, and we're functionally just one person riding. We're good.
You have way too many people included in this
Right,
situation.
because you've got an Aarakocra who can fly and a Quetzalcoatl who can fly, and so two passengers.
Oh, I keep looking at Dave and thinking he's a passenger too. Jeez, I'm an idiot. So
It's
and
fine.
yeah, okay, sorry.
So who's going to jump on the Quetzalcoatlus' back? And okay, so Malmer jumps onto Karaok's back, and Fennetir clings, turns himself into a ball, clutching this levy gem, and the Quetzalcoatlus grabs onto the stick that's holding the.
We have a rope. We tied. We get a.
I'm hanging by a rope
And tie him onto a rope
and
Like
just holding onto the levy gem.
Awesome. And you've got all your personal equipment and your gear and stuff, and whether in your circling, there's something that we're going to have to do, because before this point, so you can when you followed the hag last episode, you were not scrying on the hag directly. Oh, look at that adorable puppy dog.
Hey guys, I want to play some D&D with you. Sorry to interrupt.
Hey, you
We
can
want
take
him in our party. Can he
you
join
can
our
take-
party?
my other character. What's his name?
Trilo.
Trilo.
He can play Trilo.
Yes, you can play Trilo.
But there's two of them.
But Weatherin,
Both of them.
Yeah.
when you followed the hag initially, you were not actually scrying on the hag as your target. You were scrying on the area near yourself. And when you were scrying on the hag just now, you were scrying on the location that you had been to. But after the hag lifts off on the dragon, you're going to have to pick the hag or the dragon or one of those characters to scry on. And so they're going to be able to make a saving throw against that.
Okay.
If you want to scry on them directly, but it's a big giant dragon flying through the air. You can follow it on your own without needing to scry it. But if you do want to scry it, just for the future, so in this particular circumstance, if you want to scry on the hag, then we'll have to use dice.
Okay. In this case, I just know approximately where they are, and I want to, if I can see it, do it.
It's a big black dragon. You can see it.
Yeah, and I want to scry on me.
Okay.
Just like, because that's a.
So you get the true sight.
Yeah.
The dragon.
Go get this dragon.
The dragon heads north and slightly west.
Surprise, surprise.
And so Yellow Eyes says, follow me, but don't get closer than you need to. The idea being, I assume he's a louder flyer than a hawk. You know.
We've
Well,
still
it's
got
leathery wings.
We've still got
battering
the.
gear. I
We've
guess
still
you
got pass activated.
Oh, okay.
Quetzalcoatl says cast without trace. You guys can fly in an extremely stealthy manner.
Yeah.
Okay, great. In that case, so let's head on and follow to the northwest. And I will try to be basically as close as I need to be very confident I won't lose them, but I'm not going to try to like strike up a conversation.
Okay. The dragon flies.
Dragonflies!
Dragon flies probably 150 or 200 feet above the surface of the cloudy sea,
Okay.
and it's taking its time. It's sort of it's just cruising. It's not racing. It's not. It's struck a sort of a long distance pace. Like it's got a destination it's going to, and it is gonna take its time. It's flying like it's on a long haul.
Okay.
Is it
And I just want to match
changing
it, basically.
direction at all, or flying straight?
Northwestish.
Yeah,
But I mean,
it
yeah.
looks like it's chosen a bearing and it's heading pretty much straight in that direction.
Nice, just in case we lose them.
Right, yeah. If any of you want to, now you know what? You're all sailors. You're up among the stars. You are able to, because Weathering, I'm sure you brought your sailor supplies. They're in your pack.
Yeah.
Your compass, or not your compass, but your whatever it is.
Astrolabe.
Astrolabe, whatever they use. Yeah, so you're able to get a bearing. Weatherin, you do grow tired before the dragon does. So you can fly for, I guess both of you have pretty much the same rules, but you can fly for like 3 or 4 hours before you start getting tired.
And it's been 3 or 4 hours?
Unless you want to do something else before then. The dragon is just cruising high altitude.
Yeah, I think a little in advance of knowing that it's going to start being exhausting, Waither would be interested in taking a break and recuperating, however that works.
Like we could
Yeah,
all
that's fine.
model that behavior.
So when it makes sense, I'll lead them to kind of like, I'll pick an island or something, some place where it makes sense to alight, or maybe just on the canopy if that's appropriate.
Sure, yeah. Anybody who wants to search for a place to land and make camp, this would be, so there are 3 things that you could do. And the first is you could camp for a long rest, which is where you're going to rest the rest of the night. The second is where you're going to take a short rest, which is 2 hours. And the third is where you're going to take like a travel rest. The rules in the game don't give this a specific name, but they say that while you're flying, you need to take an hour's rest every so often. And so you can take a 1-hour rest that would allow you to rest up enough to keep flying for another leg. Those are the 3 kinds of rests you can do.
Okay. Do any of y'all need a short or long rest to recuperate stuff?
I'm ready for the fight.
I have a few spell slots spent. Also, I'm gonna need to, at some point, the Pass Without Trace only lasts an hour, so.
Right. And your long rest is 8 hours, not 4 like the rest of us.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or I
yeah,
guess
because
maybe Yellow Eyes will be 8 hours as well.
I think you have your elf stats, and
Okay.
you just, well, I mean, it's polymorph. It's whatever the rule for polymorph is.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it in a minute. But yeah, let's go for a travel rest.
Okay.
And sorry, what I'm going to do is do that, and maybe scry on the hag at some point during the travel rest to see if it makes, or when we alight, to see if it makes sense to like take a break that's longer and get some spell slots back for Gravy or something.
So you're going to take an hour-long rest, and Watherin, you're going to scry on the hag now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've interacted firsthand, I guess. This isn't I've heard of the target. This is a met-ish, the target, I would assume.
Yeah, this is
Does she have some
firsthand.
blood?
Firsthand, but not
And then I
familiar.
have the blood, so it's a -10 on the save.
Okay.
And it's a wisdom
Yep. It's
save.
the hag
How
is
does that how do we know what that number is? Is it based on my wisdom?
Nope. So the hag has a wisdom score and has a modifier that it rolls for wisdom saving throws. And I'm going to roll that now. And the hag rolled a 9. So 9 minus 10 is 1. And that does not pass the
D&D math.
that doesn't pass your spell save DC, probably.
Is your spell save
I can see
DC
that
0?
somewhere, but I'm pretty sure you're right. How do I find that?
It should be on your sheet somewhere. But I think I calculated it's 17.
There's a
That's my
hit DC column on the spell
Probably
sheet.
if you look at your spells, it might fill that in for you.
Under your spells tab, it's right there at the top of the inside of the spell.
I see. Save DC 13.
Oh, 13. Okay. Yeah, so 13 is higher than 1, so you are indeed able to scry on the hag. The hag is clinging with her bony fingers to the dragon. They're not talking about anything, but they're still flying.
Okay.
You do notice that the dragon's rhythm has changed a little bit. It's doing a little bit less flapping and a little bit more sort of coasting, so that every minute or so it's losing a little elevation, as though it is starting to get tired somewhat.
Okay. I want to tell them, I guess, something like we can do a short rest for Karak. So like 4 hours. Long rest for the rest of us.
Oh, it's just 2 hours for a short rest for Karak.
Okay, well then great. We do a short rest.
I mean, you could do a long rest for the 3 of you, and that would be a short rest for him. He could fit a short rest and then 2 hours of doing whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'd like. I would like a short rest for him.
Yeah.
You regain spell slots from that, right?
Usually
I
not.
don't think so, no.
Oh, well then never mind.
Sorcerers and warlocks have ways to regain stuff, and there are some things that you can do to swap spells as a cleric or a wizard.
Okay.
So,
well, let's rest for an hour or so.
Okay, awesome.
I just tell them to be ready to fly more.
Cool. Go ahead and roll up survival checks to make some kind of camp. Whoever is going to help make camp.
I will help.
I'd say the ranger would be the one to take.
Yeah.
I got a 10.
Hey,
You can have a guidance if you want.
Do I get that extra bonus die?
And Mal will
On
render a help
them.
action unto Karak so that he gets advantage on this check.
Nice.
Oh, that's cocked. That is 23.
Awesome. You spend the hour in peace, having found an excellent hiding spot, and we are going to go on our 10-minute break here in the middle of the episode. We will be back with you at 9:15.
And we're out.
Hey there, welcome back to the Starfall Collective. This is episode 30 of season 2. I can't believe we've gotten this far. Stick with me for a little while longer, and hopefully we'll get through this together. You are chasing a night hag riding a black dragon through a sea of floating trees and clouds.
That's about as D&D of a phrase as you can utter.
Welcome to my Dungeons and Dragons campaign. This is time for your rest to be up. You're gonna start off again?
Yeah, I think what's it been, like an hour or so, we said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I want to, before we alight, I'd like to scry on the hag again, make sure I see what's happening there.
Yeah, so you actually you see something different this time. The hag is actually standing on something like a wooden platform.
Mm-hmm.
And this platform is on one side of something like a bridge, a wooden bridge that is built across a gap in the cloudy sea. This east-west gap in the cloudy sea that some of our characters have had some experience with already. This lies to the north of where you are right now, and the dragon is there with a couple of smaller black dragons, and they're sort of chatting, sitting there, resting together. It looks like some sort of like a bridge, and these black dragons are guarding it. And this other black dragon has stopped with them and made this its flying resting point. Since it had an extra hour of travel time while you were resting, this is you would think a good deal north of where you are right now.
Okay. Let's see. Let me get that voice I was trying for. I'm not a voice actor. Let's be ready. They have stopped ahead of us. We will get as close as we can without being seen. But we must follow them further. There is a great tear in the cloudy sea, and they are at the point of being rent. Great. So I let everybody get ready, and then we alight.
Okay. Yeah.
Alight.
A lot.
Take off. If you are going to continue scrying, then before you reach, unless, well, actually, you tell me if you both want to really push it. You can make probably like an athletics check to try and fly really, really fast to get there if you want to encounter these three dragons. But if you fly at your normal pace, then the next thing is going to happen before you get there.
Do we have a good sense approximately of where they are?
Yeah.
Relative to us.
Yeah, because
north of us.
Because you're fairly good at navigating the cloudy sea, and some of you have been to this rift before, so you can see where the line of the dragon's flight intersects with the line of that moat, as you know where it is already. So you have a pretty good idea.
Yellow Eyes will set the pace basically because he's the one who can see where to go, and we're not gonna press it. We're gonna go at a good steady pace to get there.
So by the time before you get there, the hag mounts up again on the larger of the three dragons. This is the same one that she had been on and takes off once more, leaving those two to stay where they are. And as they go, you can see that one of the dragons takes off and starts flying in a kind of wide circle as though patrolling.
Okay. And which way do they go when they take off, the hag? I mean,
Almost the same course, but further to the west.
So northwest, west.
Something like that.
does it seem likely that we could, as I see the dragon take off, the one that's circling or whatever, does it seem likely that if we pulled a little west, we could avoid detection there?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd kind of like to cut a little bit of that angle and, catch up to the hag and the dragon further on.
Okay. You do so. This is something that you're able to do. You pass over the moat. Anything particular you want to do as when you get there?
Just check to see the scale as we're flying. Basically, look for the scale of it. Like, it has it. Sorry, so they don't know. The guys I'm with don't know. But since I'm Watherin, I also was there when the Fujin hit the thing. I just want to see if it looks like it's grown or what's the scale of the bridge or whatever.
This is pretty close to the area where the Fujin hit the moat. It's not exactly the same spot. I believe that this is to the east of where the Fujin, when you had that battle and everything. The scale is about the same. It's not any further apart than it was before at the place where you cross. You cannot, if you look along it, you can't see very far. The mist covers things up.
Okay. Then there's nothing else I know to do there. Just to make note of what it is.
Okay. You are. Oh no, you're actually not. Yeah. So keep flying. You're gonna start getting tired again.
Fly until we're a little bit. I'm basically trying to follow the hag and the dragon.
Cool. So yeah, if you want to continue following the hag and the dragon in this way, then it's going to be two more. You're going to need to take 2 more rests, and you're going to have been flying through the night, so you're going to have missed a night of sleep, which doesn't.
What's the effect?
That doesn't like give you exhaustion right away. But if you go without sleep for a couple nights, your DM is going to be like, hey, you guys are super tired because you haven't slept for a bunch of days. You have levels of exhaustion now.
Yeah, but Pond might join us in my visions.
That's also true. But yeah, if you guys want to roll me 2 more survival checks to cover 2 more rest periods, then we can fast forward to the
Mal will take the help action to give advantage to Karaak.
And I will prayed upon that you will be blessed.
What is that? I can't read it.
Well,
okay.
It's a 20. It's a 20.
All right. And now I can't do math. 25 is
Math
the first
is for
one.
fools.
Math is for
no
blockers.
problem, event free.
And the second is a 23.
This one, it takes a little bit longer to find a really good spot because you're getting closer to the ragged edge for this second rest period here. And so it is beginning to be the area where like some places there are some gaps in the trees. But you find a good spot, and you are able to make camp just fine. At this point, it's almost dawn. You've been flying through the night, and just when you are about to start off, you are just a couple of hours. The dragon is only maybe 1 hour ahead of you, and it has rested a little bit less time than you have, and it comes to a place. It comes to its destination. So, Robert, if you will go ahead and actually, are you continuing to scry the hag?
Occasionally.
Okay.
Scrying lasts for 10 minutes, so I don't just constantly renew because I know about the
Right.
save.
Cool. So yeah, you have just lifted off and started your flying again when you decide you want to scry on the hag, and what you see is the dragon has found its spot, and this is a place in the cloudy sea where it's like there aren't really islands in the cloudy sea, but this is as close as you could get in the Ragged Edge. So it's a place where there are a lot of trees all together, and they are a little taller than usual. So it does have the appearance of a kind of mound in the sea. And whereas,
Kind of how a swamp has little sort of fake landy bits.
yeah, whereas the rest of the area around this will have lots of little holes between the trees, so that when you're navigating through it, you have to take a mazy crisscross pattern. In this particular area, which is maybe 500-foot diameter circle, something like that, size of a small meadow. In this area, the trees are all very close to each other, and when you're scrying on the hag, the dragon sets down on top of it and says to the hag, "We black dragons, we do the will of Karen. But we are not disgusting like you. I don't know how much longer this will be worth the pay." And the hag says, "Mercenary." And she takes some gold, gives it to the dragon, something in a pouch that you don't really see what it is. Oh, that voice really messed up my stuff. And what you see, actually, the dragon really just seems creeped out by this area. And in this it takes a lot to creep out a black dragon, but there's something the black dragon is like. It sets down, the trees kind of trampoline under it a little bit. The hag gets off. They have this transaction. They don't seem to like each other very much. This is the first clue that you've gotten as to the sort of relationship these black dragons have with Karen. That it's not one of devotion or dedication. And the dragon takes off and leaves the hag there. And the dragon starts flying east, whereas the hag stays there in this spot. And while you're scrying on the hag, you notice an interesting thing. You see that the reason the trees are so close together here is that they're actually being held together to a large extent by these very large spider webs.
Whoa.
And we think that they're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of half an hour to an hour ahead of us.
Yeah, they're about an hour ahead of you, where the hag has been dropped off.
Okay. I think we'll fly on for another, let's say, half an hour, say. And then Yellow Eyes is going to kind of fall back a little bit to be able to fly parallel, fly alongside and discuss briefly. I mean, I don't know how loud it is or anything, but so our destination is ahead. There is some grave danger there. Let us find a spot to land and discuss how we might proceed.
Let's do it.
And so,
Cool. Roll up that check. The survival check.
perception, you said? Survival?
I take that help action, and I give him advantage.
I give guidance. The guidance of Pond for your efforts.
And I roll a 25.
Great. You find a
13.
real clever little spot to perch on that's very safe. Watherin, while you're scrying, you see the hag rests on the trees for just a few minutes. And then she actually begins climbing down the trees. And at first, she avoids the spider webs. But after a time, it gets pretty dark down in there. But you have true sight, so you see all this very clearly. She gets to a point where the trees stop below her, well before the trees of the cloudy sea would normally stop. So it's as though she's in a hollow space in this mound, and she climbs down below the roots of the trees and continues climbing on spider webs. And you see her sort of talons stick to these very thick, ropey spider webs, and she has to unstick them each time as she makes her way gingerly downwards. And then there's one point where your scrying just suddenly stops working. The spell didn't end of its own accord naturally.
Sorry, one sec. Do I have it?
In the business, that's what we call bad
Sorry, go ahead.
news.
I didn't hear the last thing. Sorry, Johanna's leaving for work.
It was some bad news.
Last thing that happened was that the hag climbed down and passed out of the area of the trees into a place that was all spider webs, and then down through the spider webs, and then she reached a certain point, and suddenly the spell no longer worked.
And it wasn't that it just timed out. It was like
it didn't time out.
Something
It
worse.
stopped working.
Okay. So I guess we find our spot to land.
Yep.
And
And they can't.
I want to convene with them and say, with a little bit of show to it, a little bit of drama or something. He spread the arms so the eyes are there, and then folds them back up and says, I am the seer of the Aarakocra, the seer of Oberon in this cloudy sea, and I have seen something now of grave concern. The hag has parted ways with the dragon. The dragon is of no concern to us anymore. But the hag has descended into the nest, or perhaps lair, of a great spider thing. I did not see the creature, but I saw its lair. Great webs holding together the trees. It is a grave and dangerous place of Karen. So, we have a decision before us. We now know the existence of this place, and we have seen the bridge over which the minions of Karen may come into the civilized world. So we may either return and tell the queen of these things, and she can act on them as she will, or we may go to this lair of this vile creature and engage it there, unlikely, peaceably.
I always say don't bring problems, bring solutions.
Yes. And we have many solutions back at Air Mountain. And they carry spears.
Gentlemen, last I checked, spider webs burned. And Mal produces a bonfire midair amidst them. We are here. Will a greater number of individual soldiers really make a tremendous difference if what we face is an infestation of a nest of spiders? Would it not be better to simply burn them out?
Sounds good to me. And I shoot 2 little bolts of sacred flame. Pow, pow.
When a nest of rats is driven from their hole, they run and they scatter in every direction that they can. We are but 4. How many doors can we keep shut by ourselves? I do not think it enough.
Watherin, could you positively identify the exact location?
Yellow Eyes.
Yellow Eyes. Sorry, Yellow Eyes. Could you positively identify the exact location if we came back with more wielders of magical and real flame?
I'm assuming yes, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, if you
Yes, indeed, I have seen the place, and what I have seen I remember. However, there is some great magic that has blocked my ability to see inside the lair. What it is, I cannot imagine. I have not had this happen before.
If we set it on fire, it'll probably come out, and you might be able to see it then.
Do we need to strike now for a tactical reason? If we leave, will they know that we followed them? Was it standard procedure for the other Black Dragon to embark and circle around on patrol?
The dragons are hirelings for Karen. They have no love of her. They have simply been bought.
But the question is, did they suspect that they were followed?
I do not believe so.
We only get one chance before they know we are here. If we try to burn them out now, we will not have another opportunity.
Yellow Eye.
Move.
Hey, Matt. How big in population is their mountain? Ballpark, you know.
Ballpark.
Ballpark.
I'm talking about, is it 1,000 soldiers that they could totally scramble, or 20,000?
I think that they cannot scramble 20,000 soldiers. They can scramble like 500 soldiers.
Okay, I was trying to get the sense of the scale of the fight.
Another
And the Alliance brought
level 6.
100, 200.
the Alliance brought like 50.
No.
Okay.
This is in warfare. This is really a border skirmish.
Sure. Pre-Napoleonic scale. Okay. So that means the four of us are around 10% of what was added by the Alliance.
Another tactical consideration is that the Aarakocra troops can fly, but the new people are going to have trouble with that moat without
Except for the lizards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I do not believe that going back for reinforcements is going to provide us enough advantage to warrant not striking now while we are guaranteed the element of surprise. We were sent by the Queen to act as a strike team. I say we act.
I say we don't.
Yellow Eyes, you have two voices, but the decision is clearly yours.
So Yellow Eyes does this sort of birdish motion of taking a step forward, crossing with his left foot, crossing his right foot over, so it's like looks crossed, and then just sort of wraps himself up in the wings, and you can tell it's sort of like the little, the thinker statue. And he's considering and holding himself cowled for a minute.
A lot of you guys are priests or clerics or have various relationships with gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go to sleep to talk to Pod. Gonna
do anything you don't want to.
You looking branch and
So
actively goes to sleep.
Yellow Eyes looks up after maybe a conspicuous amount of time, maybe 4 or 5 minutes of just not doing anything, and says to Gravy, "You said before you needed rest to be of full power.
Yes, I've done work.
How much rest do you need?
Matt, how much rest do I need?
8 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. And it probably is, what, about 12 hours to get back of flight?
Something like that.
So it would take of really hard riding, hard flying, a day to get back, give the message, and then return. Not even talking about any prep,
Well,
like
we would have
coming back
ships.
soldiers or anything.
We'd
What's
have
that?
ships coming
Would you?
back.
I mean, if there's Aarakocra and such.
No, but there's moats and stuff that the ships can't cross.
Yeah, except for they'd have to cross it by fighting a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, we could we could take the ships as far as the moat, though.
And then,
Um,
and then I guess we'd have to find a way to get across the moat. But by that point, unless we kill every single dragon, they would have word that forces were coming and they would have time to prepare and defend and all that stuff. So we would lose any element of surprise.
Here is what I think. I think it would be unwise to venture into battle unrested, but also in the time it would take to get reinforcements here. Should the Aarakocra come by air, the forces of Karen may already have attacked. And by the time forces could come by boat, they would have to battle multiple dragons and arrive able to fight freshly again. I think it makes sense for us to rest here, to camp, and strike out immediately tomorrow or in the morning or whatever time. I don't have.
It's morning now.
It's morning now.
Yeah.
Hey, do y'all all have night vision? Dark vision?
I don't.
Lizard folk don't? Really?
Lizard folk don't, but you elves do.
Huh.
Oh, I have a
Okay.
dark vision spell.
Ah, good.
Okay.
Good.
It's going to be dark anyway, underneath, once we go down. If we go down. I think we should get fully rested here. And then venture in to see what there is, to see what lies beneath. And flee if we must,
You
and fight if we can.
said. I am no great strategist. Nor am I a diplomat. I am a ranger. But you said that the dragons are hirelings, and they do not seem to like their current arrangement with the hags and whatever other filth they are working for. Do you think they could be turned?
There are many
I think it.
such tactical, strategic considerations to be made. But we are reaching the end of today's episode, and so maybe our players can get together and decide what their characters want to decide to do. and we, the listeners, will find out what the ultimate strategy will be in the next exciting episode of the Starfall Collective. So
something almost happened, guys.
that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Tune in this same time next week for another exciting episode. And remember, failure's beautiful.